Okay, if I can have everybody's attention here in the media center, I'd like to welcome Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford, here to this morning's media availability. And before we get started, I wanted to let Joey know that your sponsor Shell and Shell Pipeline, in conjunction with Call 811, they've got a little surprise for you. So if everybody could turn their attention to the video monitors, Joey, we've put one up there for you right there. I'd like to let you in on the surprise.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
So that is the surprise, and here it is up on the podium as well. Joey, that's an actual existing corn maze that is located in the Phoenix, Arizona area at Schnepp Farms.
Huh.
And Schnepp Farms, they're known for their celebrity corn mazes. They've made corn mazes in the past for the likes of Muhammad Ali, Oprah Winfrey, Jay Leno, Larry King, and now Joey Logano. What are your thoughts?
I have something in common with Oprah Winfrey. Wow. That's really cool. I didn't know we were doing that, so that's pretty neat. I've never seen anything like that. I didn't know you can do that with corn mazes. That's pretty cool. It's really cool.
It's really corny, actually.
It's really, yeah, it's a little corny,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. And let the media know there will be a release and a YouTube link to the video that you just saw distributed here in the media center. But we'll go ahead and open it up for questions for Joey Logano. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. And if you could state your name and affiliation as well. We'll start back in the back with Jay.
Jay Pennell with Fox Sports. I know, obviously, this weekend is first and foremost, but how far – you're sitting in a pretty good spot in the chase. How far down the road are you guys looking and planning ahead? And in addition to that, with all the weather, what's this do to your plans for this weekend?
Well, to answer the first part, we look as forward as possible. Obviously, we're looking into the next round. We're looking really all the way into Homestead and what we have to do to build our cars to spec we want, kind of start talking about setups and what we want to do there. So we're constantly looking towards the end of the season what we have to do. And then there's also a plan on what we got to do this weekend, right? So, this weather, we've seen it coming, right? I mean, it looks like the weather's actually getting better throughout the weekend than we thought it was going to be. So it looks like there is a chance we actually get on the racetrack. Maybe not today, but someday. So I think that's, if it rains out today, I believe we start 4th. I believe that's how it would work. So that's not the end of the world. That's kind of, close to where we want to be. We just need to work our plan when we get some practice and what we wanted to do to make our car faster. And then throughout the race, we feel pretty comfortable in our points position. But, we've seen happen to a few guys at this round and other rounds in years past that it can change by the blink of an eye with something happening. So we still got to be smart. We want to go out there and win the race. That's always our goal, no matter what. But, at the same time, we don't want to put ourselves in jeopardy of crashing or having a piece break on our car or something like that.
Go next to Kenny.
Hey, Bruce with NASCAR.com. Joey, I've heard you say a couple of times this week talking about the car last week and how it wasn't, quite as fast as you guys had hoped. When you have a situation like that, if you came here or Charlotte next week and you realized, hey, this is the car we ran that wasn't as fast as we thought it would be, how would that make you feel? I mean, do you think, okay, we can make that car faster before we run it again, or put it aside because it's not as fast as what we need in the chase? That may be a better question for Todd. I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we don't really, at Team Penske, we don't really look at the differences between, car to car. They're all the same. You know, if it doesn't run good at one racetrack, it's usually because the setup we didn't hit it just right. You know, it's all the parts that are, you know, that you can change. It's not the way the body was or where the chassis was. All our cars are the same to a certain spec. You know, so a lot of times, you know, Todd will even agree with me on this. He doesn't even know, you know, a lot of times where the car raced before, because it doesn't matter in our case. You know, if we didn't run well and it wasn't the fastest car, it's not because of the build of the car. It's because we missed the setup or missed kind of our you know, our outlook of what we were trying to do that whole weekend. So it's not necessarily the car. I mean, there's a lot of times that, you know, we switched to 2 into 22 cars, and it's just kind of the way it lays out going into the racetrack. So I think that's different for different teams, but for Penske at least, you know, our cars are all built the same, so we can actually compare.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joey, I know you expressed excitement about the restart zone being expanded on social media yesterday. Can you explain why this is such a big deal? Because I think a lot of people look at it as just more room for more gamesmanship to be played, to go back and forth. And when you look at this, would this have been a factor in preventing the penalty that your teammate got last weekend? Because this wouldn't have been a factor, would it?
I think it's really good that we've made the zone larger. I would even go more if it was up to me, to be honest with you. So, what it's doing is the box was so small before that instead of a restart box, you might as well just call it a restart line. So as everyone knows kind of a general area where you're going to go. So when everyone kind of knows that and knows a small area where you have to go, people start timing that. People start laying back, trying to get runs, and you see that stacking effect a lot of times as the person goes later in the box, like we seen last week. When you enlarge the box, it's a little bit harder to time it because there's a bigger area you can go. So, you know, hopefully, and when you think about it, that cars won't lay back as much because there's just different areas they can go in the box. You know, I mean, and this doesn't seem like anything that's crazy out of the box to me as far as the rules change. I mean, you remember growing up racing short tracks and stuff, and you can, you know, hit the gas in turn 3, you know, and go wherever you want. And so this kind of, I feel like, opens the box, which is good. There's going to be plenty of gamesmanship still. And I think NASCAR has also set the precedence of what they did last week, and them enforcing the rule is you know, something they need to continue doing. You know, it's not just you know, happens one time and then, you know, it scares us and then don't do nothing about it for the next 3 weeks. I think they finally put their foot down last week on what we can and can't do, and that rule needs to be consistent and you know, and make sure that, you know, when they see something, they make the same call and be consistent with that. Can't jump start. You know, and from the way I've learned and talked to them and you know, read through the rules and stuff, you know, they want you nose to tail, side by side, you know, bumper to bumper coming up to the line. They don't want you laying back. So there's a certain amount of laying back that's I feel like it's okay, and there's a certain amount that's not. You know, obviously the leader, from what I've been told, has to go, you know, inside that box and not before it. You know, we haven't seen that rule enforced yet, but that is a spoken rule at this point. And then, you know, obviously you look at what happened last week, and you learn from watching that as a competitor. You got to be a student of sport sometimes and watch what other people do and can't get away with. And we've seen what you can't get away with last week. So we got to be smart about what happens there.
Any more questions for Joey Logano? Well, Joey, enjoy your corn maze and have an amazing weekend here.
I hope I don't get lost. Thanks, guys.